Hey, what is up, lovelies? It is Linda Gacha Goblin, and who says the boycott isn't gonna work? So apparently, I've been keeping tabs on people, watching how much the game is actually making and how well it's placing on the charts and whatnot. And if you've noticed anything, we haven't gotten those free 20 polls because the CN lovelies are boycotting the game, and it seems like it's pretty effective as of thus far. Now, I was like, okay, so how effective is this boycott, right? First, I had seen that Lads was not in the top three, which usually it has been, in the top three pretty consistently, even when it's versing some of the most, profitable games in CN. Now, shocking, Lads has actually dropped out of the top 10 in their charts. That is huge news, guys. That is huge news. So we have this person here who have been, watching because they're keeping tabs on all the news for the charts and whatnot. So they're saying be careful. There are people spreading misinformation that the boycott isn't working, when in reality the game dropped from top 6 to top 4 to top 6 in sales in China. This means that people are indeed joining, and we must remain firm on not spending. So we have here the previous list. This was the previous list of the charts in CN. So these two games here have been, placed at the top very frequently during different other events as well, because they have a huge player base. They have a huge player base, and whenever they hold events, it is impossible to top the charts. Now, it's unfortunate that during times of people rallying for boycotts and whatnot, that these two games have events going on, because when that happens, that Lads is not going to top the charts at all. This game is for men and also women who can play, and it is very popular. It is very widespread in China. So topping these two games during I think even HOK, I think this one's HOK. So trying to top the charts during an event that they're holding, pretty much impossible. However, I have found out that not only did Lads drop out of the top 10, okay, Lads has dropped out of the top 10, but I also found out that these two games are not holding any events at all whatsoever, meaning that Lads could have topped the charts 100% this time around, but did not. So here is a little screenshot of the charts themselves, and then if we scroll all the way down, we have other games that are beating. I think this is Whiteout. I used to play this game. So Lads is number 11 right now. That means people are definitely 100% not spending on the game. I don't remember the last time this has happened, where we had a boycott and it dropped this far down the chart. If somebody does know, please remind me in the comments. But it is quite shocking that this is happening during the time when these two games are not having an event. Now, how do I know this? I was reading the comments of this post here, and if we scroll all the way down, scroll down, let's see, people are saying let's not give up and whatnot. Let's see, I said this before, CN fans and global fans might be boycotting in different ways, but together we hit them where it hurts, both markets at once. This is very true. Like CN lovelies might be fighting for something different than us, because for us, I know that people are boycotting the game because they want to hear about Zane's VA situation, which will only affect EN players, and there are other different things that EN is fighting for that CN may not necessarily agree with. But doing this boycott technically together, quote unquote, is actually really helping, and I'm actually quite surprised. So let me scroll down here, because I believe there was somebody here who was saying that the charts were different. Hold on. Give me uno momento. I believe it is somewhere here. Oh, it's here, it's here. Okay, so this right here. Okay, here. So by Ripuka here, we need to know. What we need to know is the game's daily revenue. Even at rank 4 or 6, that's still high. However, people say there's no competition from the top 3 apps with the HOK event nearly over. I personally think a drop around 30 million in August would already be a big success. And that is true. This screenshot comes from Gacha Revenue, the Gacha Revenue report, and I'll put that up in a second, but let's see here the reply from Ria. I don't have yesterday's data, but the image I shared refers to, but I do have the data from the second day when it was top 3. There's a comparison with Doyon, and there aren't any events, and it's still performing better than Lads. This is talking about HOK, so that's, you know, the game that I was referring to earlier. And if we go over to the Gacha Revenue report, like how much of a drop is necessary in order for Invol to actually do something, in order for the boycott to be successful? It is quite interesting to look at this. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit for you guys, and then I'll take myself off of the screen. So here we have, if I can scroll down, come on. Whoa, that is not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. Okay, scroll out back. Okay. Alright, so we have here, so this is July 2025 here. It made $68 million in the month of July. Now, if August were to drop down to 30 million, yes, it's still a lot of money. However, it would be the lowest out of all since November of 2024, which would be quite shocking in terms of, you know, the company seeing how well their game is performing and whatnot, seeing that there is some sort of organized boycott. I think that would definitely make a statement. So I do agree with that other individual there. For me, it would have to drop below 49 million in order for me to believe that the boycott was actually successful in one shape or another. But that is personally me. However, this is quite shocking. It is shocking that Love and Deepspace is making less than CapCut. And I'm just like, that's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy to really think about that. And I think it's a good thing, you know? It's a good thing that something like this is happening. Now, you know, there are going to be some naysayers who are saying that, no, the boycott's not going to work and all of these other things. At least we're trying. At least there are people who are trying, right? So people didn't spend for the first 3 days that the banner has been out. And so far, it's been continuing because there is a consistent drop in their revenue. I don't know for how long this is going to, you know, be for. I don't know if this is going to be until the last week or whatnot, but I do think that it is some sort of official kind of union-ish in order to boycott the game and hope for something better. The CN lovelies that are boycotting, most of them are actually Xavier girlies. They are the ones who want KOD to be fixed. That is Xavier's myth pair, and I completely understand that. I also very much agree with that. The fact that, you know, he does feel a little bit clunky when you're playing doesn't feel good, but, you know, they could have just shown his model to be like that instead of releasing him to look like he does so much damage, you know? Like, that's the one thing that I'm so aggravated about when it comes to the KOD situation. It's just that they could have advertised it as the way that it's supposed to be out, you know? If he wasn't meant to be as strong as, you know, the Lumiere or whatnot, then they could have just advertised it as that and people would still just get the card because it's very lore intensive, you know? But instead they showed him as this super cool, super strong, you know, king, and then when you play him they actually nerfed him, you know what I'm like? That they shouldn't have done that. They should have just, you know, completely nerfed him from the beginning, showed the preview with him nerfed, and then gave us the nerfed version. I feel like people wouldn't have rallied as hard if that was the case, because you would be getting something that you expected. In this situation, people were not expecting a nerfed version of their myth card and their myth companion. So that is my personal opinion on the situation. It just goes to show that, I don't know, Info just really doesn't know what they're doing. To a certain extent, they're just so bad at PR, but like, allegedly they're so good at manipulating their audience, and it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, so take whatever you want from this information that I've shared with you today. Whether or not you think that the boycott is worth joining, that is up to you. If you want to know what the boycott is about, I have a video on my channel talking about that. And I don't know, it's up to you guys. It is up to you whether or not you want to join the boycott or not. I am of the thought that I will always pull at the very last week, almost the very last second. So that's just me. So I'm kind of yeah, boycotting. It just, you know, it just happens to be like that. I'm boycotting every banner basically. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I am Lynn the Gacha Goblin. If you want to subscribe to the channel, go ahead and do that. And if you want to become a member, you can click the join button and pay a very small, almost like a donation to the channel, if you would want to call it that. But if you also want to join the Discord server, I have added a permanent link already to my profile. So if you head over to my profile, you can click on that link and it will not expire, and you can go ahead and join the Discord server. It's been pretty fun. We're starting to hold like events in the server as well, and it'll be really fun. I think we're gonna start going over the entire like story of Love in Deepspace, like trying to figure it out chronologically, and I don't know how often it's gonna be, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you lovelies in the next video. Bye bye now.